Hello summoners and welcome to Counterplay. This time we'll be taking a look at Misfortune. In the early game, Misfortune has very high base damage and double up hits like a truck. This is why she's known for being a lane bully. Against lanes like this with Misfortune and Karma, there's not too much that you can do to beat it other than learning to start a Doran shield. You have to give respect in the early levels to Misfortune and make sure that you don't lose both of your sums and your entire health bar at level 1 because you're just going to get dove later on. On the flip side, although she has an amazing laning phase and feels like it's very hard to beat, where she really struggles against is all-ins and getting ganked. There's not really too much Misfortune can do to avoid getting camped, ganked, and all-inned over and over again. This is where you really start to see the skill discrepancy and why Misfortune isn't necessarily good at the highest levels of play, because sometimes you just get blown up by Annie and Fiddlesticks and you die inside the CC. It's become somewhat standardized, but not every game that Misfortune takes Dark Harvest right now, and this is an interesting rune that you can play around. You have to be careful of getting reset on by Misfortune in teamfights because she basically gets a free electrocute proc, if not more damage, every single time she gets that reset. However, in lane what you can do is pay attention to the cannon minion and make sure that you are playing around this correctly and not losing all of your HP to Dark Harvest. Also, as a small side note, the person who has Dark Harvest will lose their stack if they auto a tower because it works on towers, so you could look to all in shortly after that. Misfortune's signature ability is her ultimate, and there are a few ways you can help beat this. One of the best ways is to make sure you understand where she's most likely going to ult. Obviously you're not going to be able to stop it every time, but pay attention to these little corners and nooks and crannies where she wants to stand behind a wall and get a big ultimate. Also, against dragons and barons, make sure that she doesn't completely melt your team and steal the objective by ulting over the wall. Make sure you definitely ward over. 3 champions that you can use to help you beat Misfortune are Draven, Braum, and Blitzcrank. As for Braum, he's a tanky support that can all-in you, but obviously his shield is the mainstay here, and the reason why he really does beat Misfortune. He can block so many different things with his shield, and it makes it really hard to deal with as MF. As for Blitzcrank, while it is true that Misfortune is pretty speedy, so she's a little bit hard to hit, it's also true that if you do finally hit the hook and pull her into your team, she's gonna die instantly. And finally, for Draven, he is one of the ADCs that can definitely deal with Misfortune alongside Lucian and Varus, and that's because these champions can all in Misfortune very well. Draven does so much damage and can definitely match her early game, and on top of that, throwing stand aside and keeping her slowed and then finally killing her right after, it's pretty tough for MF to deal with Draven. Most Misfortune players tend to ban Draven. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the Mobalytics Counterplay. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials and let us know who you want to see in the next Counterplay. Thank you for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe.